Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a review of a book to share with you today. This book was sent to me by Crossway, and this is actually a devotional by Paul David Tripp called New Morning Mercies. This is not a new devotional necessarily. It's been out for years. It's published in different forms. Lots of copies sold of this devotional. I personally have never used it, but I have read through a little bit of it, and it's so good. I'm so excited to share it with you today. The version that I got today is the note-taking edition. I'm very excited about this. I'm a huge note taker in church notes and everywhere, and so I am very excited to have a journal or a devotional where you can actually, write your thoughts and reflections right here in the journal. So the copy that I have is called a True Tone cover, so it's like a soft kind of faux leather cover. It does have a ribbon marker in it, so you can mark your pages as you're working through the year, and so it does have that in there as well. I will say the paper is this beautiful cream color. It's not bright white, but it's not that really yellow cream either. And so there are some reviews kind of here in the front of this, and then some other books that Paul Tripp has published. And then again, like this is saying originally like 2014, but I think this one came out actually this year. But the margins in it, while they're not super huge, are plenty large enough, I think, to take some little notes, make some references, for further study. There's about 1.5 inch margin on these, and then of course whatever space you have at the end, which will vary from day to day. But it starts out kind of with his thought for that day, and then your devotional, and then for further study, and you have all of your verses down at the bottom. And one of the things I will say, if you do use devotional, one of the things I actually appreciate about the way that this was written is that it's not just a little blurb of this scripture that's on here. It's actually telling you to go look at it. And so to get the most out of any of your devotional time, I really would encourage you to do that. Like, go search out these verses, study them, look at them. That's how you're going to get the most out of this day, and not to just read through what the author is telling you for this day, but really, pray and seek what the Lord is trying to share with you for that day, because it could be something completely different, which happens to me all the time. But when you are reading like the verses or whatever, something just new will catch your eye or something like that. So make sure you're spending that time. The devotional information is great, and they're, well written, and it's good information to have, but it's nothing like taking your time to actually go and study that out in the Word. And so that's just my little blurb for that, for devotionals. So it's middle of September when I'm reviewing this. I will actually start this devotional right now. I have already actually read today's, and it was very, very good. And interestingly, because this is just kind of the way the Lord works, I had started reading another book, and sort of the premise behind that book is actually in the day on September 21st. That information is September 22nd, is actually in this devotional, and it's kind of mirroring each other, which was really, really fascinating. I love that when that happens, when you're kind of studying something and then you hear about it at church, or it just kind of pops up and just kind of lets you know you're in the right path. But anyway, I'm digressing. Sorry. So this beautiful devotional, you have your 1.5 inch margins. One of the things that I really like about this as well is at the end of the devotional, you will see here, I did a little pen test. I'll get to that in a second. But you have a scripture index. So you have the various scriptures organized by book of the Bible, and then the day on which you can find that devotional. So if you happen to be in your own personal time, like reading something, say in Jeremiah, and you want to come across and see, like, there may be an actual devotional for that day that you could read as well. So I like the fact that you have a good index for that. There's several pages of that. And this is designed basically to get you through an entire year. Like I said, I'm not going to wait until January to start it. I've already started reading it and really enjoying it. So there's also some information about a teen version as well in here. And then there is this one blank page kind of between the last day and the scripture index that I have used for doing some pen testing, just because I know that I'm going to be taking notes and writing in here. And I will say that the margins are not lined. They're not even lightly lined. It's just open, and I actually really like that. It's also, if you're someone that likes to do artwork, like Bible journaling like I do, you could definitely do some of that creative worship time in your margin here as well, because you're not dealing with lines. It also makes it easy to kind of, really annotate things in a different way. So I actually really like the fact that it's not lined. I know maybe that's not everybody's preference, but I really am excited about that fact. But anyway, back to the pen testing. So I tested all of the pens that I would probably most likely be using in this devotional. Everything from my most favorite, which is a Sharpie S-Gel, all the way through tools and microns and Le Pens and a rolling writer, a Tombow Feud. The only one that really kind of was an issue is this Mr. Pen one, and that's not because it's a Mr. Pen pen, it's because of the type of pen. This is a quick dry marker, so this pen is really designed to write on like slick surfaces and stuff, and so it did kind of shadow bleed through just maybe ever so slightly, so I probably wouldn't use it in this book, but I knew that it was going to kind of bleed through before I used it. I just wanted to have that in here. And then I did even a flare. I did a Pilot Varsity, which is actually a fountain pen. I really enjoy writing with fountain pens, but the only thing that I noticed with here, while it didn't bleed, it did feather a little bit, so the writing is a little bit blurry. So if you're really trying to take notes and it feathers too much, that might make, your notes hard to read. I did test just a few highlighters down here. Usually I use other things to highlight than actual highlighters, like watercolor or something like that, or like pit brush markers. And so I did test that, and you can see everything is great. So I feel like you'll be able to take your notes right on each day, and you will be just fine. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of bleed through. Of course, test your own pens. Every pen is different, so and how you write with them also. But I did like the fact that there was that blank page back there. It's not, I'm sure, intended for a pen test page, but that's just what I used it for. But you could certainly also use the margins of the scripture index if you wanted to test other things like stamping inks or something like that, if you intend to do artwork in this devotional. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but that, for those of us who do Bible journaling a lot, that's probably something that we will do. But I did also want to read something that is from the introduction that he wrote for this, because it's just so beautiful and really kind of just reminds us of why we do sort of what we do, and just really kind of gives a good focus for this devotional, in my opinion. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. The introduction is a couple pages long, and so this, forgive me, this is just a little bit out of context, but I really did want to share just this little paragraph with you. So it says, when amazing realities of the gospel quit commanding your attention, your awe, and your worship, other things in your life will capture your attention instead. When you quit celebrating grace, you begin to forget how much you need grace. And when you forget how much you need grace, you quit seeking the rescue and strength that only grace can give. This means you begin to see yourself as more righteous, strong, and wise than you actually are, and in so doing, you set yourself up for trouble. So this devotional is a call for you and me to remember. It's a call to remember the horrible disaster of sin. It's a call to remember Jesus, who stood in our place. It's a call to remember the righteousness that is his gift. It's a call to remember the transforming power of the grace you and I couldn't have earned. It's a call to remember the destiny that is guaranteed to all of God's blood-purchased children. It's a call to remember his sovereignty and his glory. It's a call to remember that remembering is spiritual war. Even for this, we need grace. And I just thought it's such a beautiful thing. Sometimes we do kind of, at least I will speak for myself, get into that trap where you kind of forget how much you really need and rely on the grace of God. And we have been doing a study and about this kind of recently, and so I just really love this idea that this devotional is a call to remember and not just to remember who we are, but to remember more importantly who Jesus is and what he's done for us. And so very excited. I just really enjoyed even just reading through the introduction. So very excited to get through this devotional. Obviously, it's going to take me a while, but let me know if you would like to see kind of maybe some days where I'm working through some notes, how I'm working through a devotional, how I take notes, how I study out those things and make it more personal for myself. Let me know if that's something that would be of interest to you. Put that down in the comments and let me know. Also, I just want to say again, thank you to Crossway for sending this book for me to review for you. I'm very excited to have it. And I'm glad that I get to add this to my list of resources that I enjoy. So anyway, if you liked this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bye.